How often do you think that happens?
Where there's alligators?
No,
Fucking
but I'm
alligators.
just thinking,
Every time somebody goes missing, an alligator.
No, I'm
ate
just.
'em. Rich guy shit.
Rich guy shit.
Yeah,
Toyota Corollas.
Witnesses.
Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, that's what they are.
So they can't take any antibiotics. They can't have a blood transfusion.
Blood transfusion for sure. Antibiotics they can have.
Can they have sex out of marriage?
No.
That's Pentecostal.
Or wait, Pentecostal? What's starts with an L? What's that one? Iluth?
Lutheran?
Yeah, is that weird?
I don't know that it's weird.
Is
I mean,
that
it's
weird?
very, very like.
Is that the weird one?
I think
Is there a weird
Lutheran's
one?
pretty hardcore.
Wait, who's the ones that juggle the snakes? Is that
Pentecostals.
Lutherans? Oh, Pentecostals.
And then you got 7-Day Adventurers.
That's down in your area. There's some snake jugglers down there.
Closer you get to Kentucky. It's illegal in Tennessee, actually, but it's here.
You ever seen the documentary in the abandoned little trailer church where it started in Tennessee?
They're all fucking trailer churches.
Yeah, it's like the one where I think it was like a kid got killed. It was bit by it was one of the first ones ever to be found.
Well, if Allah wills it. That's the thing with the snakes.
Allah?
Well, God.
Yeah, it has to be the other one, not the
Yahweh?
Allah one.
Is
It's Yahweh.
What's Yahweh?
That's God, Jesus.
Okay.
Are we doing a podcast?
The Ramashia Hakodesh. I don't know it.
What podcast is this? 103?
103.
103. Holy fuck, you actually said it right, motherfucker.
103. That was a good guess. That's all I want.
I'll bet he's got it written on his dash in the dust.
That's
He
all.
had it in his hand.
That's
why
all.
he put it in his hand.
That's all.
You got that Sharpie on your hand?
No.
What the
Look,
fuck's
see?
going on here?
I don't know. I was a guess.
Oh man,
I was trying to fuck it up.
I didn't put on the new shirt.
I was trying to fuck it up. I thought maybe. Is there a new shirt?
There is.
There's an old shirt.
Yours. I have a stack of your new shirts that you never take.
No, I take them every time.
So
It's
it
Brando.
says no days off, motherfucker.
Oh, is that why Amanda?
Oh, we should have put that. We should have put like motherfucker real small on the bottom. No days off, motherfucker.
Is that why Amanda's been posting no days off?
No, I don't know. Jason probably saw her stuff because he sent me artwork for no sick days, and I'm like, I like it, but it's missing something. It needs something else. So somehow we went to no days off.
I mean, there's a couple of posts that Amanda has made about no days off that I get what she's saying, but it also sounds like she's in a penal colony. Because she's like, it's 32 degrees below zero. The wind chill is 100%. No days off. It's like, okay, all right.
what was the Jordan Peterson talked about it. What was the Russian or in Siberia or wherever they had
Road of Bones?
the Cannibal Island. Where
Oh,
they had
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was all
super famous book. I can't remember the name of it. Well, it'll come to me. But that you say I'm hardcore. Like I built myself my own prisoner camp, my own POW camp, and I never leave the camp. Amanda outworks me.
Those were real POW. Oh, Amanda outworks you.
She outworks me.
But that's because she's the head prisoner.
Is that what it is?
She's the head prisoner. She understands she has to work hard, otherwise she's going to get put back in the snow.
She did SOE for so long, right? So she was SOE for so long.
What? So
And then she took the thing she liked doing and turned it into a business.
over 30,
Over 30.
at least over 30 years, right? It's been that long?
Well, I mean, we've been in Tennessee 20.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it has to have been at
Close
least
to
30 years.
Off and on prior to
Yeah.
that, but yeah. I mean, on 3 years of probation, she was there the whole time, so 33.
Which means
23.
Which means that she's worked longer for you than she did in the career of the beauty salon.
True. She was making a lot of money on the beauty salon, though. You got to figure a lot of that was tip cash business.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have tits, dudes are fucking paying $100 tip on a fucking haircut all the time. Like she was running 2 salons also.
I would get tits for $100.
$100
Tips?
$100 doesn't buy you a fucking quarter tank of gas now.
I thought you were about to say I'll get $100 tits. Like that's
$100 tits.
I mean, I bet you could. I bet we could slide down to Mexico and get some $100 tits.
I know how you can make a lot of money without tits.
How's that?
You're going in the burn barrel business, the steel drum business.
I know. You know what?
Not even the fancy ones.
The interesting thing is you say that, because we were just talking about that, but it's hard to just get the
I know, dude. Fuck, dude, you haven't even heard.
But I mean,
you have not scratched the fucking surface.
There is a place. There used to be. I don't go down that road anymore.
Don't say where it is.
But it was between Waverly and Dixon.
Okay, the back road back there.
I'm on a back road.
Man, there's some beautiful properties.
I'm on a back road, and this place used to always have 35-gallon and 55-gallon steel barrels out front.
What are they full of?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was like 4 of them. But wait, there was like 4 of them.
We found some. I think there's bodies in them.
But there's 4 of these barrels, and they would always have. There would be a sign on there that says, "Hey, we're selling these fucking barrels." And I used to drive by them all the time, and then something happened where I was like, "Oh, I really could use one of those 35-gallon burn barrels or barrels." And so I drive down that road, and sure as shit, they're there. There's a phone number. I call that phone number for like a week, and no one will answer the phone. And then I even went to the house and knocked on the door, and they're like, and the people at the house are like, "Well, that's not our shit." It's just impossible to
get it. Some dude put it here on the side of the road and just sells
And then
it.
I see them all the time where it's like some random road in Kentucky where they're like 55-gallon burn barrels for $5.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
Those aren't there.
Okay. So I go through Marketplace. I find all of them on Marketplace, and they're about $25 is what you're going to pay for one of these burn barrels. And that it looks like it's already been on fire for $25, right? So in the local Facebook group, there's a thread. Where can I get a burn barrel? Because everybody's trying to make stoves and barrel heaters for their garages and shit. I read the whole thread. So I have in my head the next day where we can go get these burn barrels. Because off of Amazon, I have ordered the cast iron foot kit, the base kit, and then the piece that goes between the 2 barrels to make a double barrel burner stove. My intention is not to build those. I want to build one of them so that we can show what the difference between what you get for $2,000 versus this stove that you seemingly should be able to put together for about $100, right? So the brackets come in, and Amanda goes, what your brackets are here? I'm like, cool. She goes, Cody said if you just get 2 burn barrels, he can put that together in about an hour. Seems reasonable. Cody also said, hey, I'll bring some barrels home from work, because he works at that big factory, and for like a week I'm like, did you get the barrels? I didn't see the guy. Did you get the barrels? I didn't see the guy. Did you get the barrels? Well, somebody has a contract and we can't get the barrels. So we've eaten up like 10 days now.
Yeah.
The brackets are here. We still don't have the barrels. I'm like, fuck it, I'll go get them myself. So Isaac hooked the trailer up. We go to the Salvage place where they have burn barrels and old fucking IBC totes and shit. We go down there. They have 4 of them. They're beautiful. They're black. You just drive out in the yard, put them in your trailer, and you go pay the guy. They're full of who knows what's in them, but we physically couldn't move them. So I'm like, okay, I don't see any more.
Yeah, crude oil.
Yeah, or how long do you have to put a body in sulfuric acid before it fucking eats up the body? Like, and then you're like, what's this liquid? I'll just dump it out in the parking lot. Like, you don't know what that was. So we go to a second place. I had read in this thread that the Valvoline here sells barrels. So we go in. They're like, you got to talk to Todd. I'm like, cool, is Todd here? Nope, Todd's not here. Well, can you call Todd? Like, I'm just here to buy barrels. Oh, you got to talk to Todd. Well, do you have barrels? I see barrels can I just buy some of these? How much are they? You got to talk to Todd. So Todd shows up while we're there. He's like, oh, you got to call I'm like, look, I heard the Valvoline sells these. He goes, well, I took them, and my friend is selling them. I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. So I go to
third party of a third party.
Yes,
I like it.
That's how all of this has ended up.
Oh, yeah.
So we go to Copeland's Metal, where I've been. It's a kind of metal salvage yard, but they sell like steel. You can buy a 4x8 sheet of steel. You can buy tubular. You can buy everything you want. It's a metal place. We go there, and they've got like big grapples and shit flying around and like picking cars up and dumping them. Clearly something has changed. The sign still says Copeland's, but there's a nice painted sign on the front gate that says we close at 2:45. I'm like, who the fuck closes at 2:45? How bizarre. So
we got to pick their kids up.
So
from
a
school.
dude gets out of the big claw machine And I'm like, hey, we're here for burn barrels. He's like, oh, somebody has the contract for that. We don't have them anymore. I go, is this Copeland's? He goes, nah, it hasn't been Copeland's for 4 years. I'm like, well, your giant fucking sign out front says Copeland's. And when we called, the fucking phone number said Copeland's. Okay, so I'm like, well, I'm right out here by Wes. I'll go by Wes. I'll bet he probably has a 55-gallon drum sitting around. Wes, what's up, man? Super impressive operation. Wes Wheel and Tire, super fucking great business. He's like, I think I have some. So we walk through. He's like, oh, no, there were 55-gallon drums here. So we go out back into this cage, and there's 4. They're full. He's like, it's full of, I don't remember what he said. I think he said ether or something. I'm like, what do you do with this? And I don't remember what he said they do with it, but they were full. He's like, J&S Salvage just came and picked all of our barrels up yesterday. Try them. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, call J&S Salvage. So we call, now we've gone all the way to Paris. Now we're coming all the way back to the interstate. I've driven like 80 miles today. Yeah. I'm trying to find barrels.
For a $20 burn barrel.
For a $20 burn barrel, which should be $5. So we get all the way out there. Dude, it is some hills have eyes kind of shit. It's an auto salvage. The GPS says it's on the left side. We pull up, it's on the right side. We drive in, and there's 2 girls in a jacked up F-350 fucking with their makeup and shit. I'm like, this is kind of weird. There's people, seemingly, you don't see people, but there's movement everywhere. So we go up to the window, little girl working at the window. We had called, and she's like, you got to talk to Matt. We're like, okay, can we talk to Matt? Nope, you just got to come out here. So we show up. We're like, hey, we're here for burn barrels. You got to talk to Matt. Okay, can you get Matt? I don't know where he's at. Okay, how do we, can you page him? Like, how do we find Matt? She's like, just ask some of the boys. I'm like, where are the boys? She goes, they're out there. And it's like, dude, it's like a fucking big dump. Cranes and claws are moving around, and fucking transformers are fighting. There's a car crushing machine. There's nobody there. There's just a car being crushed. There's a dude over here picking up a car, putting it in this giant fucking dumpster. Like Cletus and Billy Bob are over here waiting their turn to have their stolen metal recycled. So we walk around for...
Did you see any burn barrels?
We did see burn barrels.
Okay.
So we walk around for a few minutes, and we hear movement. I hear tools being dropped on concrete. Isaac's like, somebody's over here. So we go over, and it's, I don't know how big it is, 100 by 100 feet, covered patio. There's a car, and there's just stacks of rims, right? They're taking all the rims off before they crush these cars. And we find a dude, a human being. And he looks like he speaks English. We're like, hey, we're looking for burn barrels. He goes, do you know where Purrier is? I go, yeah. He goes, there's a man in Purrier, he sells them. If you go to Purrier, you'll find the man. I'm like, I'm right here. Purrier's an hour away. I need to buy burn barrels. There's 16 of them right there. Can I just buy those? He goes, oh, you got to talk to Matt. I'm like, do you know where Matt is? He goes, good luck with that. So I'm like, okay, thanks for not being any fucking help. I didn't say that. We walk away. And then there's a door with a tarp over it in the wall. And that tarp rips open. Mexican dude. I'm like, we're looking for burn barrels. He's like, oh, you got to talk to Matt. I'm like, do you know where Matt is? He's like, no. So he walks us back to the window where the chick was zero fucking help. And he's like, blah, 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 looking for Matt. She's like, she says something. He walks in the door right next to it. And then lo and behold, comes back. Here's Matt. I'd say 65, dual hearing aids. And I'm like, I'm looking for burn barrels. What? Burn barrels, oil drums, 55-gallon drums. Oh, how many do you want? I go, well, how much are they? He goes, they're $7. I go, I'll take as many will fit in the trailer. I go, can you take a card? He goes, yeah, we take a card. And the girl goes, we only take cash. I'm like, fuck, I don't have any cash with me. Like, I just don't have any cash. I had literally taken all the cash out fucking the day before, and it was sitting in because it kept, every time I pull my phone out and shit, it kept falling out.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't have any cash. We'll come back. So we still have no burn barrels. We know there are some burn barrels there.
Yeah, but you got to go through. The problem is
you got to go through all that.
You're going to have to go through all that rigmarole again.
However crazy you were picturing this, it is it's 100 times crazier than what you're visualizing.
Here's the problem. The problem is you took Isaac. That's the biggest problem.
Isaac's pretty good though.
No. But the problem is you took Isaac, and Isaac doesn't understand the world. Okay, Isaac doesn't understand the world. In that scenario, let me give you that scenario. Let me give you that scenario from a Marine Corps perspective.
I need Brandl's dad.
In that perspective, from a Marine Corps perspective, as soon as we would have hit Juan, What was the dude's name that you were looking for?
Matt.
Matt. As soon as we would have hit
Juan's probably the Mexican guy.
Yeah. But as soon as we hit him, I would have went like this. Hey, bro. Matt told us to go get those barrels. Can you help us? And then when we were leaving, I would have went right to the window and went, hey, make sure you let Matt know that Steve came by and got those fucking barrels. And then we would drove out.
I could totally see being arrested. What are you in for? We took some scrap metal burn barrels.
No way. No way.
I can't risk it.
No
Juan
way.
gave them to you.
Yeah.
Juan gave them to us.
Yeah.
So
Juan, I gave Juan the money.
So Amanda gets on and finds a place in Clarksville that has them for $4. So I message him and I'm like, hey, how many of these can I pick up tomorrow? Do you actually have them? Are they really $4? Never heard a word.
Yeah.
Fucking nothing.
No way.
You have these, what seems to be happening is you have these huge companies that buy up a contract and they have a guy go out and sign a contract so that they get all of your burn barrel recycling, right? It's just like the rail ties. You used to be able to go buy a rail tie for $8.
Yeah.
And then some company did a deal where they bought all the railroads recycled or pulled out rail ties, and now a rail tie's $20 everywhere you buy it. So we just got to find the dude that's not in contract and be like, we'll take all your burn barrels. We set them at the end of the driveway and we sell them for $25, but we actually have them.
I don't think they exist.
They do somewhere.
Because think about this. Think about, like, we could go on to Facebook Marketplace right now. And this is just Facebook Marketplace. This isn't the entire internet.
Which mostly is Facebook
and we could
Marketplace.
We could put burn barrel in there, and there's going to be 25 ads that immediately pop up.
Most of them are all the same guys.
Of people that are like all over the place, boop, 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 that say they have the burn barrels, and then none of them have any barrels. It's like it's a
when I was looking
scam.
we have all these IBC totes, but we know there's chemicals in them, right? But I've got IBC totes that still have the placards on them, and they say like molasses and shit, and they're coming from Kellogg's plant, right? There's some big Kellogg's plants around, so we know those are food safe. So I have no problem putting water in there that might go to animals or we might have to drink sometime in the future. But when the ice was coming, we'd already cut up all of our known barrels, for the aquaponics shit and stuff like that. So I wanted a couple of these barrels. So I thought, well, we'll just go get some. There's this dude on Marketplace says they're triple washed, they're food certified, blah, blah, blah. They're $200. So we go there. He's only got like 3 of them. And I checked a bunch of ads. It's all the same dude posting as though he's in Jackson and he's in, Camden and he's in Nashville. It's all the same dude. So we go out there and we buy these 2 barrels. We get them back here. And the first one, I sniff it. Seems totally clean. All good. Fill it up, 300 gallons of water. The second one, when I open it up, it smells like some kind of chemical. So someone's lying somewhere. There's something in that barrel. So I put a bunch of water and shake it around with the skid steer and dump it out. Dude, it still smells like fucking some kind of chemical. It's all like you're just trusting a dude. Like you don't know what the fuck was in there.
So I went and got those totes a couple years ago, but I found a guy who was like, these are all food safe things.
A lot of food safe stuff will also kill you. Like mineral spirits, you fucking get it in you.
Well, so I go and one had, and I got 3 of them. One had olive oil in it, and then 2 had soy sauce in it.
Perfect.
So two. I mean, I'm just like, who's buying 275 gallons of soy sauce?
They're breaking it down into 5-gallon buckets.
I know, but so get these totes. I made different things out of them, but the one tote, the one complete one that I used that had soy sauce in it, emptied it all out, flushed it out.
Still tastes like soy sauce.
That fucking water, you could literally go up and sniff that thing, and 3 years later, it still smelled like soy sauce.
Yeah.
And that water had kept going in and out because the cows were drinking it.
Yep. Always, man.
So those cows, I bet those cows tasted really good.
So, what are we? 5 days to election? 7 days to election, or 20th? Inauguration?
20th. How many days?
I thought it was a 20.
So I saw Xi Jinping has said that he is. Is that who's Xi Jinping? That's
Pooh
China.
Bear. That's China. Yeah.
He has said that he will not make the inauguration. He's not coming. He was apparently Trump invited him. Netanyahu says he is not coming. I found that kind of odd. Said he's not coming.
Is this like the Titanic?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. That's where I'm going. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's like Titanic?
You have the dude who's kind of the speaker right now for the White House, and he's like, inauguration, 7 days, unless something crazy happens, and we all know a lot of crazy things happen.
Oh yeah, that's like, that I was actually going to talk about that. He is the national security advisor.
Very odd.
So the guy that knows.
Yeah, the guy that plans.
Yeah, the guy that knows that if there's something planned, that he might have to come. But again, here's the thing. If something were to happen on inauguration day, so January 20th, he's not the national security advisor
anymore. Won't Congress all be present there when that's happening too?
No.
Congress won't be there for the inauguration?
Not all of them, no. They're pretty partisan. So like even last time he was inaugurated, there was very few Democrats.
Interesting.
I mean, there'll be a lot of people there. But again, you wouldn't...
Fuck, I would think that I wouldn't want to be there. When's the most likely time for some shit to happen?
But everybody looks at it as a threat against... Everybody looks at it as a threat against Donald Trump personally. And so they're not really thinking... The reality is a lot of those people would be looking at it as like an execution. They're not really thinking that they would be in danger.
Like there's collateral damage?
I mean,
the FBI keeps saying, every agency keeps saying they have a viable threat. China's ready to knock out the power grid in the United States.
Not true.
Oh, I think that the power grid will start going in and out intermittently, or even parts of it will be turned off, but it won't be
China.
Yeah,
it's not going to be China. Yeah, China.
No.
China isn't. That's the thing. China is in no position to start World War III. And here's the thing: if you're a country like China, Russia, I don't know. Basically, those are our big adversaries, right? You do the same thing. You do the same thing that we do. You don't start a war with a major power. You start a proxy war.
Wagner Group.
Yeah, what about them?
Russia's big, contracting, kind of their Blackwater.
Yep.
I don't know when this was supposed to happen, but I heard today they caught a guy coming across the border with $6,000. He had some arms and weapons, and he was a Wagner Group dude.
Why would you
come across the Mexico fucking border
with guns?
They caught some dudes.
You want when you get here.
They caught some dudes on the U.S. side of the border with RPGs and rockets for it, and a few other things. I think I heard that a week or so ago.
I mean, the problem lies there. Whenever you hear stuff about catching people at the border area. So we have a 100-mile zone, right? Mm-hmm. In 100-mile zone in the United States, they consider that whole area the border.
It's like international water.
Yeah, but it's the same thing in Mexico. So when you look at the border from the Mexican side of the house, they have this zone that is not controlled by the Mexican government. It is controlled by the cartel. So when somebody says RPG, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Those guys are coming and going across the border all the time. Shit, they had Mexican...
And the real guys aren't on the surface. They're coming under the border.
So, I mean, again, it doesn't surprise me one bit that they're finding weapons that we liberated over the last 20 years that are showing up on our doorstep.
You ever heard of Sweet Brown? Is it Sweet Brown or Foxy Brown? Sweet Brown?
I mean, let's be realistic. Just for a second, let's be realistic. I am no threat to national security. But if I thought I could get some RPG-7s to just blow up some rocks with, I'd be like, what's up? Again...
I think you can have an RPG tube, right? It's the grenade that's the problem.
Yeah, the grenade's the problem, yeah.
Can you buy...
But even the tube has to have a ATF. It has to have, I believe it's a 3-inch circular hole cut in the tube, so it doesn't have the capability of actually firing a rocket ever again.
Got it. I used to see law tubes when I was a kid at the gun shows and shit all the time, and AT4s and stuff.
Again, those technically should fall under the same rule. They should technically fall under that same rule where they're supposed to have a hole cut in them. But because of the way the Department of Defense classifies them, they kind of they don't slip under the radar, but they kind of just don't fall in because it's a one-shot deal, right?
Oh, got it.
So a law rocket's a one-shot deal. RPG is a launcher. A law rocket is not.
Does a AT-4 have like a designator, like a bullet or something?
No,
Doesn't one of them have like a round you can fire?
Yeah, that's a small rocket. We don't use those anymore.
And you can fire, what is it, a 9mm or something fires out of it?
It was a 9mm. It was basically a 7.62 cartridge that had a 9mm bullet in it that followed the same trajectory. It was a tracer, so you could shoot it. You could aim at your target, then shoot that thing, and it would give you your trace to target, so you know that you're actually going to hit it, and then you can fire the rocket.
Got it.
We don't use those anymore.
Okay. So Sweet Brown.
So what about Sweet?
It was a video went super viral. Big black lady, and she was talking about sweet Jesus, it's a fire.
Oh yeah,
gotta have my pop.
Yeah,
that's who that lady reminded me of yesterday. So she was in Chicago, and she's like, I'm a contractor, so we just go by door to door. We have a master key, and we just open apartments, and we'd given notice that we're going to check these out for HVAC. And knocked on the door, nobody answered, so I opened the door, and then there's rifles, and there's C4 explosives, and a bunch of passports, and fake IDs, and fireman uniforms, and police uniforms. And like Black Scout pointed out, he goes, I'll bet she's prior service, because most women wouldn't be, there's rifles. Most people would just say, there's guns.
Unless, of course.
Watching TV.
No. Unless, of course, that whole story is a plan.
Fabricated.
It's fabricated. Because, again, they say they arrest somebody.
Yeah.
They don't say why they arrest somebody. They don't show the person that they arrest. They don't show a single picture of the room. We had a dude attack New Orleans, and within 24 hours, there was a reporter going through that apartment. They say all this stuff, but you don't see any of it.
What do you think the point of it was then?
Well, what if somebody attempts to assassinate the president using those types of items?
Got it.
Then we can say it was
this was supposed to be Chicago.
Yeah. So again, they don't say any of it. And the thing that's more interesting to me is she specifically says C4.
I know. Now I said that too. I go, who would say C? But if she's watched a bunch of movies, I mean.
No, but she specifically said C4. The only reason why you would say C4
is if the feds had said it.
No, even from a particular military, like if I went through a room and saw a bunch of shit, right? I saw a bunch of shit, and I saw some stuff that looked like explosives. I wouldn't say C4 unless it was really C4, because it says C4 right on the fucking side of it in the plastic wrap. Now,
do we even use C4 anymore?
Yeah, we still use the shit out of it.
It's composition 4 or something?
Yeah.
Is that what
we still use the shit out of it, but again, that's very specific, right? You're saying a very specific thing. And then they said the bomb squad went through and neutralized everything that was in the room. Well, they didn't blow anything up.
You don't have to neutralize C4. I mean, you just remove the caps from it.
We never,
correct,
from a law enforcement side of the house, we never neutralize things in that manner. We always blow them up because you don't know. And
they're not going to blow them up in the building. They're going to robot it out and put it in their chamber.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you went in the room and you knew that it wasn't real. I mean, the reality is, let's just be crazy. Let's be crazy for 1 second. The reality of that entire story is it could have been some kid airsofter that had all the shit because that's what they do, right? To include fake C4, because then nobody ever said any of it was real. They didn't show any of it. They didn't, and even the way they talked about the incident was way too nonchalant for. If that would have been anywhere else in the country, they would have been off the chain about it. And we also know from just how they explain it, the dude they arrested wasn't white.
Well, that's yeah. Right? You notice they didn't show a photo of him.
They didn't show a photo. So again, well, not only that,
the dude they arrested probably also wasn't a black guy.
They very specifically, not only that though, they very specifically said in that video that they don't know why he was arrested
and they don't even know if he was arrested. So what I'm gonna assume is the cops went up there and looked in that room. None of it was real, or maybe the rifles were real, but the C4 wasn't real because the C4 was provided by the FBI and they knew it wasn't real. And the dude that was arrested was some kid at the end of the hall smoking weed or something like, you know what I'm saying? It was collateral, had nothing to do with it because they specifically said that. So I don't know. It's very weird the type of stories and things they're producing. Now, he had police gear.
Yeah, police and fire. And that's what I said. I said I would like to see what the photo on those IDs and documents look like.
He said police and fire gear. Do you know what they also put out yesterday? 100,000 police officers volunteer for Donald Trump's inauguration.
Right, I did see that.
Right? So
yeah, it's playing out like a fucking movie, The Jackal or something.
They're telling you exactly. They're basically telling you exactly what they're going to do. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting. And I don't think anything's going to happen.
Did you see the?
And this is the reason why I don't think anything's going to happen. Because the other thing that they're doing right now is prepping. They're prepping you in the news. If you kind of watch the news over the last couple of weeks, they're actually prepping you for a Donald Trump presidency. So they're prepping you for Donald Trump to be president by talking about how the collapse of the economy is going to be his fault. The loss of the war in Ukraine is going to be his fault. They're already prepping you for all this stuff, even though the economy has been the economy has been fake for the last 4 years. All fucking Biden's numbers are not real. So whatever Donald Trump gets, it's going to be an empty bag. And the war in Ukraine was lost the minute we started fucking fighting it. So they're prepping you for him being president. Anyways.
Did you see the Cybertruck stuff?
What about it?
See, his wife just came out over the last couple of days, said we were not estranged. We spent Christmas together. He loved his daughter. This is 100% his daughter. The whole fucking, did you see all that? She's like, I can't stay quiet any longer. Everything they're saying is complete horseshit.
I mean, you know, anybody, again, I talked about this before.
Yeah, they already had the DNA.
Anybody in the community that understands how PSYOPs work, that's part of the PSYOP.
Her?
Well, not necessarily her. Okay. What you do is you run a narrative that's false. So you run a false narrative. It has to be kind of close to the truth, but you run this false narrative. You, under whatever for whatever reason she felt like she needed to be quiet. There's a reason why. She didn't just like, there's a reason, and she is not telling you why she was quiet about this. But there's a reason why she was quiet. So I run this false narrative. I get it out in the news cycle. Then when a true narrative, when the truth comes out, if it's even close, everybody's still going to believe the false narrative.
Because it's already in a memory hole. They're not paying attention to it.
It's just Cywar. That is a Cywar op. That's all that is. The whole thing is. Because again, the one thing that the U.S. military has is a DNA profile on every service member. So why hasn't the Department of Defense come out and said, hey, because here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part, John. Let's just say that that it's true, that it's not him, that somehow he's in Mexico right now drinking margaritas with, Elvis. Let's say it's not him, that this all was a PSYOP and they used a stand-in body in order to, and it's not him. Okay. The Department of Defense could still come out tomorrow and go, the DNA samples match. It's definitely him. How would you know?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
how would we know? There's no possible way for us to check that information. But if you're running a Cywar op, you don't want people to have details. So that's why you go, the DNA doesn't match his child.
Would they have a dude where they're just able to switch meds that can completely change within a couple days, and him still have a security clearance like that?
I am sure that there's medication that you could take that could completely change, completely fuck you up like that. Okay, but medication that is So let's say I'm giving you a pill that makes you normal. Okay, and you're functionally operating within the realm of SOE normally, okay? But I want to activate you. And so I want you to do something crazy. I'm going to give you this other pill. The problem with that is you're not going to be functionally acting normal anymore. You're going to be fucked up, right? So just think it's like this. Can a person on crystal meth paint his entire house in the middle of the night? Yes, of course. Somebody on crystal meth could decopper this entire building in 30 seconds. But that's not normal. That's out of the realm of normality, right? So we're just going to use this special forces guy. We're going to use him. He's in Germany. He's operating normally. He gets to the United States. Even with all the conspiracy, he's operating normally. He's renting a car. He's driving to these fucking charging stations. The 9 fucking charging stations he had to use. He's operating normally. And then we're just going to assume that now, in this particular moment when he's at the Trump Tower, he's no longer operating normally. You know what I'm saying? The car is driving straight. The minute you put an input on it to turn it, it's going to turn. There's nothing you can do about it. So you would know. Like, you would know that... I'll give you an example. If Randall was taking antipsychotics, right? If he was taking antipsychotics, and then for some reason he decided, I'm not going to take them anymore, or I'm going to take something else that's going to ramp it up, we would immediately know. It wouldn't be one of those things where we would be like, well, I just didn't know. No, that's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. So for him to operate at that level, to still be operating at the special forces level, because you could actually say that everything he did was an op, and then later on people go, oh, we just didn't know he changed his medication and got fucked up. That's the psyop part, because first off, if you're on an antipsychotic medication like that, you don't have TSEC, the fucking security clearance he had. You can't be taking that shit and then they would have fucking pulled that clearance. They'd have downgraded it to like secret or some crazy shit.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, so no, that's bullshit.
Have you heard of red lithium?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So I don't know what it's used for, but apparently, remember at the same time or the same 24-hour cycle with the Trump Tower. Mm-hmm. The dude in Mississippi, Louisiana, where was he? Bourbon Street?
Yeah, New Orleans.
That dude, they said he had a very high-tech explosive that had never been seen in IEDs before. Mm-hmm. And then that's what the talk is, that it had something to do with red lithium. Have you not heard that, or have you heard that?
You mean the...
I have no idea.
Do you mean the mythical explosion? You mean the mythical explosive device that they used in the movie Red?
I don't know what that is.
What? The movie, the Red 2.
Oh, The Rock?
No.
Is that The Rock?
The Red.
The Christmas one?
It's Bruce Willis, where he's a retired CIA officer.
Okay.
And Red 2...
is red lithium?
It's red lithium that they use as this mythical nuclear explosive device.
I didn't know that. Okay. Do you know that they just banned red food coloring that we use?
Probably good, yeah.
Yeah, after they took it out of cosmetics, they banned it in cosmetics for 20 years now. They're just now, I don't know if it's happened or if it's in place yet, but they're removing it finally.
Here's the thing that really should piss you off. Like, the reality is that it really should piss you off is it's been banned in Europe for 20 years.
Sure it has. Yeah.
And you know what you can still get in fucking Europe? You can still get a red M&M. You know why? Because M&M changed the fucking formula, and it's not arsenic
doesn't have the poison
anymore.
Yeah,
It doesn't have the poison anymore.
Live action. Did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she got delayed and couldn't fly into the normal air patterns on the way to wherever she was heading yesterday because drones were interfering with flight paths going into the Washington area airport? Have you seen all the photos of the drones, like in the horizon and shit?
You know what this is?
Tell me.
I'm going to tell you exactly what this is.
I know, you've told me.
It's the U.S. government creating problems in order to facilitate regulation. Drones are the most unregulated thing we have in the United States right now. The most unregulated thing. They kind of were like, hey, we're going to scare you and you need to register your drone. But the majority of people didn't. And so what they need to do is create these calamities, these drone calamities, in order to put forth law that's going to make it so that you have to register them and you have to find a certain pattern and you have to have an FBI agent approve your fucking whereabouts at all times. That's all this is.
When do you think they're going to start wanting to regulate the girlfriend sex robots?
They're never going to want to regulate the girlfriend sex robots because the girlfriend sex robots, when you think about it, is a control measure anyways.
They'll tell on you.
Yeah. Haven't you seen the new Blade Runner?
Yeah.
And have you seen? Do you remember when?
I felt like it was a little slow.
Do you remember when he was getting ready to go on the run? And he was getting ready to go on the run, and he tells his computer girlfriend, he's like, "I'm out, deuces. I'm leaving." She's like, "You can't leave me, because when they come to the apartment and they get me, they'll know everything.
I'm going to tell everything about you."
Not I'm going to tell, but again, it's a program, so naturally the program can be accessed, and the program.
We currently have that right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll give you an example that I just ran into.
Think about that, right? Everybody had Messenger. How long has people had Messenger or DM, PMs, right? Did you ever think that you were being monitored when you're like, "Yo, baby, send me a picture of your butthole"? Like, all of those fucking pictures are in that motherfucker. And the cloud, right? The cloud. I have
the cloud
pictures.
Is the worst. Don't send anything
like
to the cloud.
Well, I didn't send anything to the cloud.
You know what?
But when I merge my phone, the cloud is here. When I pick up an iPad, which I don't use the cloud on, I'm like, oh, I go to start a live video and I push the wrong button. And it's like, what picture would you like for a thumbnail? All your pictures are in this device, and all your pictures are in this device, no matter what they are. And you know what I can't figure out is how to remove the pictures that I want on my phone, but pull them off the iPad because the motherfucker's in the cloud. I don't know how to limit them to one device. So if you have an employee, if you're logged in to my cloud, and then you're like, here, use this iPad, but when they click the other button, they have access to fucking everything in your phone.
All your butthole pictures.
All your butthole pictures.
Yeah, I don't use the cloud. Cloud is. Do you know why the NSA? Do you know why the NSA building in Colorado is so big?
To store all the butthole pictures.
Because it's the cloud. There's not some mythical place in heaven where there's this data that's being guarded by Marines.
When did 3 Mile Island melt down?
Oh, that was in the 70s.
Okay. Do you know how many people lost their lives that day?
None.
0, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's been offline ever since, right? Because it was so dangerous. You know who just bought 3 Mile Island?
I know.
Bill Gates bought 3 Mile Island.
Yep, and they're going to use it completely to run
data storage.
Yeah.
Yep. And there is another nuclear facility that's offline that somebody else just bought, and they're using it to run data storage. It was too dangerous to have the motherfucker running to make electricity for us, but it's not too dangerous for them to have.
No, but again, that's the difference. Is a corporation can pollute in the name of the corporation. It becomes the corporation's problem.
Is it really polluting compared to what it is? I mean, nowadays, with like thorium reactors and stuff, we have reactors. Where do you put the stuff? You put it back in the fucking hole you got the stuff from.
All those
I know
things,
you don't like it.
All those things. The reason why I don't like it is because the reality is it's human arrogance. We have this arrogance that we think we can control what the universe does, and we don't control it. It's no different than prime example is what's going on in California. We feel like we can control something that we have no control over. So they pretend for years and years and years and years that they know what they're doing. Because again, if you would have asked anybody in the state government, in the California state government, let's say 6 months ago, Do we have the capability to keep a fire from totally wiping out Pacific Palisades?
The all of fucking Hollywood Hills.
All of them would say yes. We have all the technology. We have the best fire departments. We have the best fire. We always say that.
Yeah, but they're going off statistics and numbers from 20 years ago.
No, it's the arrogance of we as human beings. We have this arrogance to think that somehow we are in control of something that we really know nothing about. Like, the reality is, you can get a fucking nuclear physicist right here. They really don't know anything about how to manage and control it from a human perspective. Meaning, they can tell you we're going to build the safest reactor on the face of the planet. No chance of this reactor melting down until he takes a piss in the wrong corner, he falls asleep, and the DEI hire does not know how to shut this motherfucker off. And then we have a situation where we can't use half the country because we knew we were making a safe reactor. It's just bullshit. It's bullshit.
How safe are the reactors in nuclear submarines?
I don't know.
How safe are the reactors? How safe is the reactor that runs the military base at Antarctica?
Here's the difference. The military base in Antarctica does not run on a nuclear reactor.
I think it does.
No, it doesn't. It runs on diesel. They did in the 1970s. They put a facility. There's another prime example. In the 1970s, they made a base in Antarctica. It was the under-snow base that was going to be completely run off of a nuclear reactor. From the day they installed it to the day they deactivated it, it constantly had leaks. It constantly was producing more radiation than it was supposed to. So much so that base has been decommissioned. We're no longer occupying that base. And Antarctica, the global administration of Antarctica is worried that they're going to have a fucking explosion up there because we just left that motherfucker.
Can we go there?
To that base? I mean, I'm sure we could. People, they actually do. They send every year, I think it's, again, don't quote me. It's either Norway or Sweden, maybe. They actually send a survey team that camps on top of it, because now that the reality is, now that snow is
flooded.
It's buried under fucking like 22 feet of ice. They send survey teams out there to take core samples because not only is it radioactive, they want to make sure that this thing's not going to fucking melt down the world up there. But the U.S. government never disclosed the contaminants that we also left behind. Because again, in typical American fashion, now remember, scientists are the ones that said it was safe. In typical American fashion, when the fucking thing goes wrong, what do? We just bury everything. We just bury it. We just pretend like it didn't exist, and we pretend like it didn't happen. And so, again, another example of a fucking nuclear disaster that we created because legitimate, I want you to remember this, legitimate scientists of the time said, this is going to be safe. This is going to work.
I'm surprised, broken glass theory or some of those urban exploration guys have, like, they've been in the fucking space shuttles in Russia and the nuclear submarines in China and all that shit.
Well, the issue is the issue with that base is we're again scientists. Again, here's scientists. We were ignorant to how Antarctica actually works, and those ice shelves are always moving. So what was happening is all the tunnels and infrastructure that we built, like you can actually watch the video of the U.S. Air Force making this facility. They're moving because it's fucking ice, and it just crushed all the tunnels and crushed. So I am sure probably if you went up there and you had maybe the right equipment, that maybe you could find some cavities that were still left over. But the reality is most of it's all crushed up into a fucking ball.
It's been the base because it's under 22 feet of ice. It's been taken over. That's where the vampires are.
I mean, it most certainly.
What was the movie where in Days of Night? Yeah, in Alaska, where when it's winter, when it's dark for 24 hours at a time, the vampires come out.
My problem with all of it is I know that if you had a perfectly working nuclear reactor, that it would generate a lot of electricity. But I understand the frailties of human nature, and we're not ready for it.
So what do you think we should be using?
What do I think we should be using? Fossil fuels.
Coal.
I mean, maybe.
Do you know what anthracite coal is?
The reality is that most people are ignoring, and most people don't want to know. The truth is when the Biden administration came on point and decided they were going to destroy all the coal fire plants that we had left, those were all clean burning coal plants.
They blew all these up.
Yeah, those were all clean burning coal plants. So the fears of 40 years ago are not the same as today. Those were clean burning coal plants. But the 22 plants that they built in China are not. So you're actually doing more harm than good.
Do you know what anthracite coal is?
No.
I'm not sure. There's different types of coal, and I'm not clear if anthracite coal burns very hot, but I don't think they have to put anthracite coal into the power plant. I think the power plant can burn a lesser type of coal. I was just curious. I know that we used to have barges coming in. We had tons of coal around here, and they would bring it in riverway on these barges. You'd see the tugboat pushing all these coal bins, and that's what comes into Cumberland City up there, and that's what would come into the one right over here. And that's those big grain elevators. That's what they're moving is coal. That's where they push all that stuff.
I mean, the reality is, even when you think about power in that sense, our ability to extract natural gas here in the United States almost even makes coal not viable. Not viable as a cheap energy, because what were the pipelines?
What was the pipeline that we shut down as soon as Biden was in office?
That was the Keystone Pipeline, and that was shale oil coming from Canada.
So that's oil. It's not natural gas.
It's not natural gas. It was shale oil.
Got it.
Yeah. Very cheap shale oil, and we could refine it. And then the crazy thing is, we're refining it. We're not selling it here.
No.
Like even all that during the Trump administration, even most of the natural gas was going to Europe. So
how did it get there?
Ship.
It's a very expensive way to get it there. I've heard. So I'm repeating from
not in the long run when you think about how much money they're spending to buy that natural gas.
Oh, because they fucking just wouldn't take. They didn't want that shit out of Russia. Apparently, Russia had some shell corporations moving natural gas around. They have a hidden fleet of ships or something that's not under Russian flag.
Probably.
But apparently that also recently got shut down. So the prices of energy are, just skyrocketed over the last couple of weeks even compared to where they were in Europe. Have you heard, oh man, I don't remember what I was going to say.
You don't remember what you
No, I got it.
You got it.
So Biden, did you hear the Biden administration just signed into executive order in a manner that it does a few things. But basically what they did is they shut down all oil exploration in Texas, Alaska, and the Bering Strait up there. So oil drilling in the ocean up there. But I guess it's very hazardous up there. I didn't know they were drilling oil up there. But they say he signed it in a manner that with the stroke of a pen, he locked this all down. But it takes an act of Congress to repeal it. So Trump can't just come in and go, I'm undoing all these shoestrings. Or is that bullshit?
It's bullshit. There's not an executive order. There's not an executive order that you can write. I mean, it's kind of the reason why you heard him say Gulf of America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Biden did sign a thing that said there could be no more exploration or no more drilling in the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay, so we're going to change the name of it? Is that what that's about?
That's exactly what Trump was saying. What Trump was saying is, okay, I'll just change it to the Gulf of America. Then that law doesn't apply because it's not the Gulf of Mexico anymore. So that's kind of, there is always, in any of these situations, there's always a reach around for how to get by it, especially when you're talking about executive orders. Because executive orders are not law. It's just the president. So that, even when you think about like George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., right? You think about those two. There were executive orders that George Bush Sr. put into policy that I am sure that when Bush Jr. got in office, he's like, nah, I want to wear a jogging suit in the White House. I'm getting rid of that order, right? Something. There's always executive orders that as soon as they go in, like the truth is there is a bunch of executive orders that the current Biden administration is still following that Donald Trump wrote. It's just you take the candy you want, you get rid of the candy you don't want.
Do you have a jogging suit?
I don't. Well, no, I do.
Should we get jogging suits?
I have
and we'll
them.
just do the podcast in jogging suits.
I would love some, but they have to be like real, like Adidas.
1980s.
Yeah, like something a Russian would wear.
He looks like a guy probably has some counterfeit Adidas tracksuits.
I bet his say Wilson on them. Wilson or maybe Champ. You remember Champ?
Yep.
Yeah, maybe Champ. No, there's no way he's got Adidas. That's,
We had a dude here yesterday from Croatia.
Yeah?
Speaking of like Chechnyan tracksuits and
man.
shit.
That's cool. Yeah, was he wearing in a tracksuit?
No, he was a fucking internal medicine doc. Big dude, huge man, huge guy. Yeah, super cool dude.
So again, there's always a way around. That's kind of a lot of the stuff that, I mean, it's crazy how, first off, how just the election of Donald Trump has affected so much of the stuff that's going on in the world, and how Donald Trump just says some random shit. People get all crazy about it, but then the effect that he wanted by saying the random shit actually comes to the table, right? Like, example is Canada. I'm gonna make you the 51st state. I'm gonna make you a state within the United States, right?
That was all just about the tariffs. It's about getting him to do what he wants done.
It's this. Because he's Donald Trump and he understands this.
It's part of the deal.
I'm gonna over the top ask for
something absolutely fucking crazy.
Right? So
and we're gonna settle for something.
So you give me
even more towards me than what I even wanted.
So you give me exactly what I wanted in the first place. That's what he's doing. That's what
Spearco said.
Their financier, or their, it's British, so it's got to be something weird. Yeah, that's right, Canada. You're still British. But their guy who handles all the interior. He immediately goes on this big rant about how Canada will never be part of America and Canada they're proud Canadians and blah, blah. He's going on this whole rant about fuck you, Donald Trump.
Well, 80% of them want to be American.
But no, he's like on this whole thing about fuck you, Donald Trump. But then he immediately goes, we have all these valuable resources. We have all these minerals. We have all this stuff that you want.
We'll just sell it.
We're willing to sell it. And that's the fuck he wanted in the first place. It's just amazing. It's no different than the whole Greenland thing when he said he was going to buy fucking Greenland.
Well, now that BlackRock owns all the water rights in the United States, we're going to have water from somewhere. It's got to come from Canada.
I mean, maybe, but that's all he's doing.
All that big lumber, we couldn't rebuild all the monuments over in fucking France and Paris and shit with. Notre Dame, right? We couldn't rebuild it because they didn't have any wood that big because it's all been cut down. Canada's got it.
They do.
That shit's up there in Canada.
Well, maybe not. We've cut a lot of shit down.
In Canada.
Everywhere.
Or
everywhere.
America.
Yeah. I just saw...
Earthlings.
I saw a guy that was... He was here on the Tennessee River somewhere, and he was in a kayak, and he's paddling, and he got to this place where it was like... They had these... Basically a boat tethered in the water that said, no trespassing, blah, 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 fucking Department of Energy. And he's just like, I'm just going to keep on paddling. And he paddles past the boat, and then there's this stump, this huge fucking stump. And he's like, oh, there's a such and such tree. There's a such and such tree, and it was fucking 200 years old. And we cut it down 100 years ago. And it just keeps paddling up this thing, and I was really like, man, I want to know where that is in the river.
Do you think he's close to a power plant or something? Why would DOE have a
I don't know. He
there?
never really talked about it. He just kept paddling. So
he's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
You're not allowed to have tritium.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
No night sights for you.
No
Back to glow in the dark paint.
Yeah.
Have you seen the pellets that are supposed to be there? They have tannerite in them. Pellets in 20. Somebody was telling me on the live last night about maybe it was 22 rounds that have tannerite that explode on impact. Have you seen this? And
meaning the bullet itself has tannerite
correct.
inside of it?
That's what they're saying. So somebody from the live actually sent me a link to these things, some YouTube videos of them. I've not watched them. I think it was PH Info actually sent them to me, who's on the lives. And he sent me a link. We'll look it up and see them. Hey, are you finding it? Apparently it's a real thing.
Yeah, it would work. The problem is now you...
Man, imagine if that went poorly somehow in your barrel or something.
No, it needs a certain amount of heat and friction. It's not there. It's pretty meaning when you mix that stuff out there to do videos, right? When what's his name? Who's your little
Isaac?
When Isaac mixes those things up, yeah. When Isaac mixes those things up, we literally could go play a tackle game of football with that, and nothing would happen. Like you could throw it, you could kick it, we could run it over with the car, nothing would happen
until the day something happens.
No, it's that.
Well, what I was
picturing, and the reason why I say that, is, and you should definitely understand it, is that's why it's not regulated, because it's a very low yield.
Here's what I was picturing.
Yeah.
You have an obstruction.
Okay, you have obstruction in the barrel.
You didn't realize the last round you fired
is still in the barrel.
It's still in the barrel.
Okay.
And you pick it up 6 months later and you shoot this fucking round through there and it hits that obstruction in the barrel. It hits
that obstruction in the barrel. The pressure, so the pressure from the round actually being fired inside the gun is going to be more explosive, is going to have more explosive detonation than anything that you could put in the tip of a .22 round, so it wouldn't even matter.
The catch is it's an air rifle.
What? For a because someone like the high power compressed air rifles.
Yeah, so
what?
It's not an actual .22.
So it's not a powdered cartridge.
No, it is just an air rifle round that has tannerite. So
interesting.
Nothing going boom.
Oh, you know they're gonna fucking lose their shit over that.
Cold bologna.
Cold bologna. That's what. Yeah, when it's unusually cold in Florida and the iguanas fall out of the tree.
Cold bologna?
Chicken of the tree. Cold bologna.
Do people actually eat them?
Yes.
Who? You had iguana?
You had iguana?
What did it taste like? Chicken?
We grilled it like chicken wings.
Do you remember Carlos Murphy's?
No.
The restaurant?
Yeah.
It was kind of a Mexican theme. Always said, the menu said, yes, we have no iguana.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have like iguana eggs, but all it was like stuffed jalapenos.
Yeah.
I've never actually had iguana. I would totally order it.
Can you order it in Florida? I don't know.
We should go find out.
Okay. You keep making threats like we're going to go to Florida.
Why don't we just move operation to Florida?
No. No. Too many New Yorkers in Florida.
You could be Florida, man. You could start a show.
That would take years.
What would your show be about?
I don't know. It would depend on what was going on in Florida.
We could get a bunch of methed out employees, do crazy shit.
We don't need to leave to do that.
Yeah, but they like meth heads here don't want to work.
Do you think they want to work in Florida?
Well, they won't know they're working. We just video them doing crazy shit.
It'll be like an alligator park, but with meth heads.
Well, I'm sure that every alligator park has meth heads.
Meth alligators?
And then when they have an accident, the alligators just eat them.
How often do you think that happens?
Where there's alligators?
No,
Fucking
but I'm
alligators.
just saying,
every time somebody goes missing, an alligator
No,
them.
I'm just saying, they say never trust a pig farmer?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the same with the fucking alligator wranglers.
I'll bet the pig farmer doesn't even know that his pigs are eating dead people. I bet fucking people just bring their dead bodies to the pig farm.
But I mean, do you think they're doing the same thing with alligator?
Yes.
Alligator ranches.
Haven't you ever seen a movie where they kill the dude and they go dump him in and the alligators eat him? I bet that happens all the time.
They're usually taking them to some fucking, wild part of the swamp and they throw it in there and, the albino alligator that they've been feeding for years.
I haven't been to Florida in like 20 years, but when I was in Florida, there was fucking alligator parks all over the place on them back roads.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I wonder if, Jim Bob's got a side business where the mob brings people down from New York and throw them in the alligator pit.
Hell yeah. Well, the mob wouldn't use Jim Bob.
Does anybody know how fast an alligator will take a... Because here's the thing. We specifically... And this is why I'm making this question. Is we specifically know how fast a pig will take a body apart. There's actual saying, greedy as a pig. That has to do with eating people.
Right, but we only know it because of Snatch.
We don't... No. We knew that before Snatch. Snatch just put it out there. The question is... How fast will an alligator take a person apart? Because alligators don't, when they...
Well, they roll them down and let them
they
rot.
roll them and stuff them underneath a log, so that could be
and then the body decomposes and fills with gases, floats to the top and then Horatio Caine fucking finds them and has to do a thing. And then he's going to be like, who did it? And he's going to look at you sideways.
Yeah, he's going to pull his glasses off.
So, how many alligators, though? Because if there's a pack of them...
There hasn't been any recording of an alligator actually eating a whole human being.
Because he's so far out in the swamp, they don't know.
Hey, think about how gangster that is. That's gangster. We know about pigs eating people, but
And the only way you know about the pig is because somebody sat there and fucking recorded it.
and the alligator's like, don't you say shit. Don't you say shit.
The alligator mafia.
All right, on that note,
All right, we're gonna do Patreon
that's the
we have a lot of-
103 Pulling the Thread podcast.
because we have a lot of Patreon
We're going
questions.
to go do Patreon, so make sure you're a member on Patreon as well as a member here on YouTube. And we will see you guys next week.
Built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a task, you can bet your ass I fulfill it. Yeah, man, I'm talking about Willis, one of the realest to try. My